Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's a blessing to be here as always, in this very peaceful environment, among friends, among brothers, among sisters. It's always a pleasure for me to be here, and I humble myself before your attention for taking the time to come out here and granting me an hour, hopefully less than that, of your day tonight to listen to my words and to listen to this wonderful message that I bring to you today. And before I begin, I'd like to show you a video that I watched this week. I stumbled upon this video in my Facebook feed out of all places, because usually you find a lot of garbage, but this was something really, really great to watch, and it's very endearing. And I think just by watching this, you'll get an idea or have a notion of the message that I bring here today with me. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and play the video for you. I hope the sound or the music works as well. I don't know if it's going to come out on the projector. This is a chameleon, for those of you who are curious, hatching from its egg for the first time. Taking its first breaths to life, opening its eyes, welcoming itself to the world. Struggling to get out of that egg so that he can begin his new, short journey on this earth. All right. So I'm sure this video gives us all hope for Facebook and the content that we see on there.
That's the conclusion.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that, I don't know about you, but when I watched this, I was very touched because this is a very endearing moment. It's a blessing. It's a divine moment to see life come into being like this. Such a humble creature, so small. You can see it by the fact that that tiny egg is in the hand of an adult human, and it is an amazing thing to witness. And we witness this every day in our lives. When we see the sun rise in the horizon, that's the sun breathing new life into us, or to us, with its revigorating rays, welcoming us to a new existence, a 24-hour existence, a short subset of a life on this earth, which is a very, very short subset of our eternal journey, or not eternal, but immortal journey of our existence as spirits. And everybody gets touched by seeing this. Everybody loves seeing flowers blossom. It is the cutest thing. And everybody is so connected to divinity or the beauty of nature whenever they witness this. Yet we forget that there's an even more beautiful life around us and within us. And that is the birth of a human being. How come we can appreciate something like this and so many people forget to appreciate our own births, the births of a loved one, of a child? There are so many in this world, so many of us, that forget to appreciate the little things and forget to appreciate how much of a blessing it is to see a child being brought into this world, a spirit struggling to reincarnate, to enter into this small, tiny human body, to compress itself perispiritually and enter into this body so it can then take on a new journey. It truly is a divine blessing, a divine gift. And we should always see ourselves in this manner. This life right now is a gift for us. Every existence we have is a gift from the divine creator. He gifted us by creating us, by allowing us to go through several incarnations, several existences, so that we may learn, progress, advance, become more aware of our realities, of our essences as spirits, so that we may become closer to Him and ascend closer and closer to purity and to Him, our Father in heaven. And life is a gift, as I said, bestowed upon us. You can imagine life as a gift with a wrapping, a beautiful wrapping with a beautiful knot, a bow. So beautiful, glittery, colorful. But that wrapping is nothing more than the physical body. The content within that box is what truly matters. The content of that gift is what we need to focus on. Too often we worry only about the nice little neat bow, the beautiful wrapping, and we forget about what's inside that box. We should do like we do every Christmas and birthday. We're so anxious to look at what's inside the box that we just rip the wrapping apart, not worrying about how neat or nice it looked, so we can get to the content of the gift, because it's going to bring us an ephemeral joy, a temporary joy, not something that's everlasting. So life is this gift that's immaterial, not material. So we must always open this gift and look into the content of this box and embrace it, because there's no greater gift than life in the universe. And Emmanuel brings to us this wonderful message that says, you are on the earth as a soul conditioned to the laws of space and time, in accordance with the imposition of self-improvement in which we all find ourselves, in the physical world or outside of it, but always with vast possibilities to exercise the good and extend it to our neighbors, because to better ourselves is to elevate ourselves, educate ourselves, and above all, to serve are always precious measures inevitably in our own hands. So life is in our hands. When that gift is given to us, it is up to us to take a hold of that gift and not let it go. Because when we incarnate into this life, we are given a chance to right our wrongs, to correct whatever mistakes we may have made in the past, to rekindle relationships. And when we are here on this earth, in this life, we have by our side those people that are the most adequate, that are going to propel us toward the path ahead. So our loved ones, our friends, our co-workers, these are all people that are precious pieces of our puzzle that are going to help us in our lives when we piece it all together to form this wonderful picture of the map which we need to the trajectory we need to traverse in order to get to where it is we need to get. The objective, the goal, which is to lead a successful life by overcoming obstacles, by purifying ourselves, by righting our wrongs, as I have said. And we go through the experiences that are necessary for the conquest of the sublimation of which we demand. Because before we come into this life, when we're in the spiritual plane, in the world of causes, we ask for things to come our ways, whether they be tremendous projects. Rarely is it a mission, but a tremendous project of life where we need to come up with some new invention or some scientific law to bring to humanity, whether it is a very serious suffering that we must endure. These are all things that we ask to those that help us plan our incarnation in our lives so that we may do what we need to do to progress, so that we may have an opportunity to perhaps advance faster by going through these trials, through these difficult times. So everything that we have in life, we asked for it. Don't be mistaken. Do not think that it just happened by chance. Everything is here because it needs to be here. God gives you a tool with the necessary, a toolbox with the necessary tools within it so that we may succeed. Often we ignore the box and the content of that box. Forget the gift box now, worry about a toolbox. I'm sorry for the analogies, but they work. So too often we forget about the content of the toolbox and the tools and the instruments that are in there that are going to help us tighten that bolt, unscrew whatever it is that's a problem, put up a new poster because it's tilted or crooked. These are all just analogies and metaphors, but I think it drives the point across. And we also have the relatives and affections which we most need in order to rescue past deaths. So this is what I talked about, rekindling. This is why life is such a divine blessing, because God gives us an opportunity to do what we should have done in a past life. But the thing is, it's such a beautiful blessing because it's a gift that never ends, a gift that keeps on giving. Because we had it in another existence before this one, and we might have not concluded our projects in a past existence, or we may have not corrected our wrongs. So God has been kind enough. He's so perfect and so loving that he bestows upon us another gift of life, another opportunity to finish what we were not able to finish in the past existence. And these loved ones are going to help us, because sometimes a loved one, a father, a mother, there's a reason why they come before the sons. There's a reason why my mother came before I did. Usually the mother or the father figure are spirits who are a bit more evolved, and they have some understanding. They're given the task and the responsibility to guide their sons and daughters to do right, to walk the correct path. There's a reason why they are your father and why they are your mother. Otherwise, they would have come as perhaps a sibling or a son and a daughter, because then you would have to guide them. And we suffer the trials that are compatible to the needs, to our needs for superior knowledge. So whatever we go through in life is because we need it. We need that problem. We need X to get to Y. Because without X, we're just going to be meandering around, wandering aimlessly in life, worried about the wrapping instead of actually getting to the content of that box. And the events that occur around you, which you actually desire to be freed from, you don't want to deal with these events, that liberty is not going to be made possible, because that's how you're going to practice your self-control. Because if you can just wish to be freed from a problem, and that wish becomes true, you no longer have to deal with it. It's too easy. And life cannot be easy, especially in a world of trials and purifications, or trials and expiations, excuse me. We need to go through problems so that we may overcome them and acquire self-control. Deny certain things that are given to us. For example, somebody who, let's say, an alcoholic, and he has the opportunity to overcome that problem by just saying, engaging in really strong self-control and saying, I no longer want to drink, or I no longer want to smoke, whatever vice it may be. And he goes to these meetings where they have support groups and coaches and counselors to help you go through these issues and overcome this huge obstacle that oftentimes takes us down a very dark path. And when we are given this opportunity, we are able to exercise this self-control, which is so important, because by denying something, we overcome it. We are no longer, we're no longer subservient to its power, to its influence over us. We control it now because we control ourselves. It no longer controls our lives. And this is great because once we control issues like this, we push away from us negative influences that impacts our lives and can bring us down paths that we did not want to go. So it's so important that we understand all of these things that are given to us, all of these blessings that life bestows upon us. It really, truly is a divine gift. I can't emphasize my title enough. And at times you're going to cross difficult circumstances in order for you to know the taste of victory over the self. How wonderful is the taste of fulfillment? Be it with a small school project, be it with a work-related project, you struggle, oh, this is going to be so difficult. There's so many intricacies and details I need to understand and learn before I can actually complete this task, before I can learn what I need to learn. But once you do it, once you dedicate yourself, you engage in that exercise of self-control, where you control your mind so that you no longer have to worry about the external distractions and you focus only on that project or task at hand. Instead of multitasking, you focus on that single task. And once you overcome it, you complete that project, whatever it may be, you get this feeling of this euphoria overcomes you. I'm sure everybody here has experienced this at some point in their lives. I know I have. Because you're overjoyed at the fact that you actually dedicated yourself to something. And you're successful at it. And now you have something to show for your work. This is what I did. And this took me, so many days or so many hours, and I really worked hard at it, and look at the result. This is great. I did it by myself. Surely we all are influenced and helped by our guardian spirits and those who want us to succeed in life, but we have to work on things ourselves because we may be helped, but we need to be the ones who actually do this. We have the responsibility in this life to right all our wrongs and to complete all of our tasks. Because if they're pending and they don't get completed, that transfer payment is going to go into the next life. That's a mortgage that we must pay off. It can't just linger. You can't file for bankruptcy or go into chapter 11 with divinity. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. You have to actually pay off that debt. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you pay off, an eye for an eye. It doesn't work like that. It's not karma. You can do something nice that's maybe a parcel of that big problem, and God is so divine, so sublime, so loving, so perfect that He will forgive that immense debt that you may have because you are so kind and loving and good to engage in that small little charity. I did use an analogy last time where, perhaps you have a huge lawn of problems and the blades of grass are so tall and you have trouble seeing above it and you can't find your path, but you do something nice. You say, well, you know what? I'm tired of being idle and being lazy. Let me take these hedge trimmers or whatever you use to cut the blade of grass, and you cut a little bit, and now you can start to see where you need to go. You overcome certain problems that are right in front of you by cutting these down, focusing on that particular part of that huge lawn of issues that may have just rolled over from past existences and experiences. And God is such a kind landlord of that particular house where you have this gigantic, unkept lawn that He'll say, you know what? You've mowed enough grass. You no longer have to continue to clear this lawn. You've done good, and that's good enough for me. So it's not an eye for an eye. That's something from Mosaic times when Moses was still around. And every task promotes the one who executes it, whenever nobly fulfilled. So when we have a task and we cheat ourselves, because we're not cheating anyone of something or from something. Whenever we cheat to get somewhere, we're only cheating ourselves. It's akin to saying that somebody does something bad to you and you wish the worst upon them, which you should never do, but you do anyway. Gosh, I hope that girl gets into a car accident because she drove me mad. And you hold that anger within you. There's a very popular saying, it's in one of Angela Louise's book, that says, when you do this, it's like you're drinking the poison and you're waiting for the other person to die. So it's important that we don't cheat ourselves. We execute things that are given to us, responsibilities that are given to us, peacefully, nobly, with humility, understanding that our position on earth is very tiny. We might be very small parts of earth, of the whole workings of divinity, but even though we are so small, we're still an important cog in this huge gear, this important little bolt, because without us there, that entire rotation that goes from one being to the other, from one planet to the other, one galaxy to the other, that makes this whole beautiful creation function, might create a chain reaction because the person next to us might feel that we're not up to the task, or we cheat that person, and then that person engages in similar actions, then the other person sees it, is influenced by it, and just creates this whole entire cascading effect that damages a lot of people. So it's important that we do things the right way, always seeking guidance from the higher spirits, from Jesus through his teachings, or from God. And as I had mentioned, how, apropos, Jesus, this Galilean poet, he lived through pure love in a tough epoch such as the one in which he found himself. Here is the biggest example of how to live life, how to take this truly divine gift and apply the best of ourselves to it. He told us, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. Love is that impulse that drives us to do what's right. Love is the energy that reigns supreme, that sovereign fluid that causes everything in this universe to move. Whenever there's friction, love comes in and assuages that friction, abates that friction. It's like putting oil into a car, right? The car, after a few thousand miles, starts to slow down. The parts are grinding against each other. There's some conflict there. Now all of a sudden you bring in the 6 quarts of love and you pour it in the engine, and all of a sudden things start flowing the way they're supposed to again. It's so important because love can be considered a raw material. Earth is replete with raw materials. We have petroleum or oil. It's not a resource until man, through his efforts, his intelligence, his ingenuity, invents the necessary machinery, the necessary plans to dig deep into the earth, penetrate the soils, the various layers of soils, getting to that raw material and applying that material to form or to produce energy, to have an output. Now it becomes a resource. This is what love is. Love is buried deeply within the layers of soils of our bodies, of our essences. And what we need to do is we need to have the ingenuity, work hard, apply our intelligences, our reason, our love, our dignity, working with others perhaps, collaborating in this gift of life, to penetrate deep down with the right machinery and penetrate and find that well of love, that petroleum that's so valuable in the world today. Love is even more valuable. So once we find that within us, we can use this energy to spark or ignite that light that's within us. And the more we apply love, the greater the output, the brighter the light. And we become this shining beacon, this lighthouse on the rocky shores of life, where we see so many in the sea around us, in their rickety boats, swimming aimlessly, in boats filled with holes, water's pouring in, they don't know what to do. And we because we're working with love, we're this shining beacon. We shine our lights upon these fellow brothers and sisters in the ocean, lost. And finally, they see through our example, this light that brightens the path for them, through our example, they see what it is that they need to do in order to perhaps raise themselves from that ocean of confusion, from the seas of problems, from the waves of trials, and swim towards that bright light that will show them a new path, a sea of tranquility. So Jesus did tell us, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And this is in Matthew 11:28 through 30. What is Jesus saying here? Jesus endured the toughest, one of the toughest, if not the toughest, most difficult existence, because Jesus was such a pure, ennobled spirit that in order for him to incarnate on this earth, it took centuries of preparation to mold his spirit to a point where it would be small enough, because he's such a bright light like the sun, that in order for him to become so tiny, to limit himself to the human envelope, it took so long. He suffered so much just so he could come here, teach us what we need to learn about life and its divine gift, and show us an example and be our guide. And when he says that his yoke is easy and his burden is light, he's simply saying that he knew that he was going to suffer while on earth, especially at that time. He knew that no one would understand him, that he would have to teach in parables and metaphors to perhaps give someone an idea of what his teachings were all about. And because of the trials that he endured, he set an example to those that if you are obedient and you understand your mission on earth and you understand why you go through these trials on earth, you're accepting this gift. You're accepting what you're being given. It is within your hands. You activate and exercise that self-control, and you understand that this is something you need to go through. These are trials you need to endure. And that's why he said that his yoke is light. Because when we heed to the words of Christ and we understand his teachings, we realize that if we understand our existence and why we're here and why we suffer and why life is such a wonderful gift, all of a sudden, all this burden that weighs us down, and this yoke that we cannot move, becomes light and easy to carry. Because we become obedient to the laws of God. We abide by the limitations that we have, and we understand what it is we need to do here. And there is some more messages here from Emmanuel, and these are some great quotes where he says, life is this divine teacher, right? Because it is a divine gift, and life teaches us our lessons that we need to learn in order to progress to the next grade, hopefully, when we discarnate or when we incarnate in another existence. And here he says, pulling ourselves out of the refuge of delinquency and clutching ourselves to the hell of guilt to which we descend through the folly of our own will. So the responsibility is ours not to allow this to happen. Concede to us, Lord, the divine teacher. So because we fall into this folly, into this well of issues and problems because of our own doing, we beg for God, while in the spirit world and eroticity we say, "Dear Father, please give me another gift, another opportunity to come back, reincarnate, so that perhaps I can right these wrongs and correct these mistakes so that I can move forward and progress, as it is your law." Because the law of progress is a constant, as the law of nature, it is a universal law. And to continue on, sustained by time, life is sustained by time. It converts itself into the nurse of our ills and into the tireless angel that supports our destiny. How beautiful is that? Life is the nurse that cures our ills. Here you correct, there you enlighten, beyond it is the readjustment, and even further is the improvement. So we have the opportunity here now to correct mistakes, to correct ourselves, to be a better version of ourselves, to be a better version today than we were of ourselves yesterday, to be a better version of us this hour than we were the last hour. And beyond this, and once we do this, we become enlightened. We learn what we need to know. Because once we start acting correctly, we have this material because we appreciate the laws of God, and we become enlightened, and we realize the steps that we need to take to progress. And again, even further is the improvement. Tireless in its march, it creates and destroys in order to rebuild before the goals of the eternal good, using affliction and dismay, disenchantment and bitterness, so that peace and hope, joy and the victory may come to congratulate us later in the sanctuary of experience. If you're paying attention, let these words sink in because they have so much depth. Because whenever we read Emmanuel or any other spirit, Joana de Angelis, or whoever else that brings these enlightened messages to us, we don't only read these messages, we absorb them. We focus on the meaning of the message, kind of like the parables from Jesus. We can't just read it and take it at face value, because the more you dig, right, you dig in there, the more you dig, the more gold you find, the more treasure you find. The deeper you research into the topic, the better the results. And he continues on here in this message. Let us remember, in the domestic abode, or in the greater road, before friends and the disaffections, in the journey of each day, when visited by the trial that imposes on us sweat and tears, let us soothe our very spirit, and smiling towards the work with which pain has favored us, let us thank the difficulty, accepting the lesson. Thank God for this gift. Thank God for this lesson. Thank God for this divine blessing of suffering that I'm going through. God bless this life. If it wasn't for this life, I would be wandering aimlessly in eternity, in the ether, not knowing what to do. Life is that compass that tells us we need to go north. When we incarnate, we now have somewhat of an understanding, a purpose, because we're so limited that when we're in spirit, we don't yet comprehend what we need to be doing. What do we need to do here in the world of causes? I don't know. But God, being so kind, bestows upon us the simplicity of a life, a physical life, in this envelope, where we can kind of get a sense, get some solid footing in this matter, so we can walk a path that we may perhaps understand, and then from this path, we may ascend closer towards perfection. Preserve your body in accordance with the responsible and conscious laborer who protects the instrument of service that life has entrusted to him. So it's like when we go from home to work, we usually use our vehicles, our cars, correct? The car can be alluded to the physical envelope. The car is the body. Home is the world of causes. It's a spirit world. Work is the physical life. So we come into this body, and this body allows us to drive the path of life. This vehicle allows us to guide ourselves through it. But what happens? Much like in traffic, people cut you off, people yell at you, people give you certain nice gestures. People, crash into you. People wander aimlessly, driving in circles in an endless roundabout. They don't pay attention to the map. They don't listen to what the GPS unit is telling them. They're too worried about, I need to get here. I need to get here right now. I don't care who I have to cut off in traffic. I don't care who I have to, say something beautiful to. It doesn't matter. I need to get to where I need to get. And I don't know where that is. That's life. Physical life is that car. We need to take that vehicle and cherish it. Wash it. Keep it clean. Take it to checkups. And drive it carefully. Attentive. Paying attention to when you're getting to that intersection, the light's red, I need to stop. The light's green, I can go now. Oh, I need to go to, point A. All right, let me look at the map first. What's the map? The gospel. What's the map? What's the connection that's going to bring that information and download it to your GPS? Prayer. So before I get into the car, I pray to Jesus or to God, please download all this information I need into my GPS unit in my vehicle, and I reincarnate so that once I jump into that car, I can find my way because I'm paying attention. I'm listening to the words that are coming from above, and they're telling me to turn right. Because I opened my heart and I opened myself to that connection. So this is an analogy of what the gift of life is. Are we all happy when we get a new car? Then we all should be very happy when we get a new body, because the body is so much more than a car. It's an instrument. It's an instrument that allows us to compose the most beautiful songs, the most beautiful melody. That's why we must practice playing that instrument through reincarnations so we can become master composers like Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, so that we can show as an example to those brothers who still lag behind what it is they need to do to ascend closer to God. Run from the torment of excess, from the stillness of idleness and the excitement of imprudence. So pay attention. Don't drive around aimlessly because you might crash into something. Right? Don't drink and drive. Same thing. It's an analogy. Don't get confused and irritated and then walk away angry and perturbed, disturbed by whatever it is that caused the problem, because you might do something you will regret later. Slow down, stop at that red light, reflect, focus, pray, find a new guidance so that you may slowly start your car up again. Blessing the temple of physical resources, the body, in which you are situated, passing through earth. Passing through earth. This is not us. This will end soon. Blessing and serving, converting the strings of your soul into the divine harp, so that through it the Lord may emit to the world the melodies of beauty, the hymns of progress, and the poems of love in the celestial exaltation of immortal joy. And not only is life the divine teacher, but we need to take this divine gift and use it to collaborate with others. Because when we collaborate with others, we're collaborating with divinity. We're extending our hands, saying, here, brother, take my hand and let me show you the way as well. Just like Jesus did to us when he told us, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Come to me, those of you who suffer. It's precisely what we can do to our brothers who have not been through the trials and expiations or problems that we have been through yet, so we can give them the proper guidance so that they know what to do, so they don't just wander around aimlessly in that vehicle with no direction. Let us be their compass. And another message here from the book The Consoler, which does not have an English translation. It says, the man that has reached a certain parcel of liberty is repaying the trust of the Lord. In other words, you've done enough, you've gone through enough trials, you've overcome those trials, so now you're given a larger parcel of responsibility. The more we do correctly, in the right way, the more we're given. The more that we do in the good, the more good is expected from us. That's responsibility, a great deal of responsibility. And that's why many great men in history falter, because they don't recognize that gift. And they utilize that parcel of independence to lead nations into wars, chaos, disorder, death. It's unfortunate, because they're given such a great gift to be the shining beacon in that sea among so many people. To tell them, here, watch out, there are rocks here. Stay away. And here's a great example of someone who took life, this divine gift, and used it for the good. In June 8th, 1972, a plane bombarded a village in South Vietnam, and the pilot, unfortunately, mistook a group of civilians for enemy troops. The bombs contained napalm, and napalm is a highly flammable fuel, and unfortunately it burned and killed numerous people on the ground. And the famous black and white picture in the background here of this event immortalized the children running away from the blazing village. It won the Pulitzer Prize and was elected by the World Press as the photo of the year in 1972. Because it became the symbol of the horrors of war and what children and innocent victims suffer as quote-unquote collateral damage of war. It's a sad, sad thing that this almost 50 years later still happens. Why are we still doing this? This is so far beneath what Jesus taught us. This is primitive. This is for a world where dinosaurs are still walking around the surface. Not for a world where quote-unquote humans live. Where is the humanity? The word human is within humanity. Humanity means solidarity, fraternity, because it is through solidarity and fraternity that we get liberty. Because by helping one another, being fair to one another, understanding our limits and their limits, not infringing upon their rights, that's only at that point that we will have true liberty, through fraternity. And the photo's protagonist is a 9-year-old girl, the one in the middle. She's naked and desperate, running through this road because her clothes were burnt by the napalm, just completely burnt off. Now, as I've said, napalm is a highly flammable fuel, and it continuously burns. It doesn't just stop immediately once you douse it, once you put the flames away or whatever, water the flames. I don't know, huh? What? Put the flames out. Thank you. Yes. Sorry about that. And this lady's name is Kim Phuc Phan Thi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not. And she was participating in a religious ceremony with her family when this happened. So what happened? Her entire family perished in this terrible, terrible mistake committed by perhaps a pilot who was not at fault. But you know what? He was at fault, because as a responsibility, as a human being, you should never just take random orders from someone just because they're above you in rank. God gave us a brain for a reason, for us to think for ourselves. And if we don't agree with something, we don't need to do it. Just because even if somebody forces you at the point of a gun, at the barrel of a gun, to do something, if you feel morally right, you have such a strength, such a connection with God that you can say, then I guess you'll have to shoot me. And that individual might stop from shooting you because he's going to feel that power emanating from you, that influence, that connection with the good that you have, that he himself will be ashamed for having attempted such a crime against humanity. Because anytime we harm a human being, we're committing the biggest crime we can ever commit. Because human beings are life. Life is a divine gift. We can return gifts we don't like and exchange them, but we can't return this gift. We don't have a receipt. We can't go to God, hey, listen, 30 days, I don't want it anymore. It doesn't work like that. So she gave a recent testimony on occasion of the 40th anniversary of the bombardment, and she said that after the picture, she fell on the ground and was rescued by the photographer who took the picture, named Nick Ut was his name, and he took her to a hospital. She remained hospitalized for 14 months and underwent 17 surgical procedures. A 9-year-old girl, because of a stupid war that led nowhere. It did nothing. And she said, my wish was to have died on that day next to my family. It was difficult to carry all this hatred, this anger. Can you imagine a 9-year-old girl going through this? 9-year-olds can't usually really understand much. How can you understand such a tragedy in your life? You blaspheme God or someone. You put the blame on someone. But in reality, she may be unaware of it, but she might have asked for this immense trial to have happened in her life so that she could progress even further and faster. She might have been the one who asked for this, or perhaps she might be undergoing this problem, this serious trial, because she did something that warranted it in the past. There's a law of cause and effect. Every effect has a cause. Something led her to experience this, whether by desire, as I mentioned before, because she wants to exercise that self-control, to exercise the faculties that help us to progress, or something wrong that she did. So, despite the deep scars on her body, seen here, she studied medicine And in the second year of university in Saigon, she discovered the New Testament in the university library. She began to read it and decided to follow Jesus Christ, realizing that God had a plan for her life. What happened? This is a spirit that incarnated, knowing that it had a purpose to go through all of this, but that memory of that request gets erased by physical life, but that innate sense, that innate thought or feeling that somehow I feel like I need to be going through this was still latent within her. And it wasn't until she read the words of Christ that she reconnected this and reawakened to her mission. And she realized, why am I so bitter when I could be doing something good? Why am I going to follow in the example of that war that caused so much suffering and tragedy when I can do something so much nice, overcome that past of sadness, and bring in a new future of happiness by helping others, by doing good, doing charity? And this is precisely what she did. Together with her husband, who is also Vietnamese, in 1997, she founded the first Kim Foundation International in the United States with the objective to provide medical psychological assistance to children who are victims of war. The project spread so quickly that now there are several centers around the world. And this is a true Christian conversion. Not a Christian conversion in the sense of the religion of Christianity. A Christian conversion in the sense of the Christian teachings of Christ. She took the gift of life and understood the content that was given to her. A terrible content in the beginning, but a wonderful, blessed rose in the end. She watered that withered rose from the issues in the beginning of her life. And through watering that rose through good deeds and charity, it now blossoms beautifully with her work around the world. So this is a true Christian conversion. When we embrace life and we embrace the laws of God. I'm not saying that Christian conversion means you have to go to church every Sunday or synagogue or mosque. That's not a conversion. That's just attendance. True conversion is when you embrace the message and live the message. And she says that this faith gave her the strength to forgive. She forgave those mistakes of the past, those pilots, the war, everything. She forgot it. She wiped it out with so much good that she doesn't even think about it anymore. She no longer dwells in that past. She has a shiny new future in front of her. And Kim today is 50 years old, and she lives in Toronto, Canada. And she has 2 sons with her husband, Thomas and Stephen. And she dedicates her life to the promotion of peace. What a wonderful turn of events for this lady. This serves as a guide and example as well, just like Jesus did. Because Jesus suffered a lot, and he overcame so much and became an example for us. She suffered a lot, overcame, and became an example for a lot of people. And right now she offers medical and psychological assistance to kids that are undergoing severe conflicts or wars in various places around the world that unfortunately are still happening to this day. And she said in her biography called The Girl in the Picture, "Forgiveness freed me from hate." She forgave, and the chains of hatred came undone. Now she could walk peacefully in harmony with divinity and tread herself a new path. And she finally said, "I still have many scars on my body and a strong pain almost every single day, but my heart has purified itself. Napalm is very potent, but faith, forgiveness, and love are even stronger. Forgiveness and love is going to cause that suffering, that pain to go away. It'll numb the pain enough to where you no longer focus on it, and now you can pay attention to the blessings of divinity, to the good part, because you've opened yourself up. It's like a rose that sits in the garden. If it's under the shade, it'll wilt and perhaps die. But if it's under the sun, opening itself up to receiving those benevolent energies, watered every day by its owner, all of a sudden it'll blossom, it'll be beautiful. And it'll emanate divine perfumes, sublime energies, and it's a beautiful creation of art, a creation of nature, a truly, truly divine art. And she continues on, "We will no longer have wars if everyone learns to live with true love." That's a very true statement. With hope and forgiveness. If this was possible, if this was possible for the girl in the picture or with the girl in the picture, ask yourself, am I able to do the same? If she underwent these severe trials and made such a turnaround, why can't we, when we get into a car accident and break a leg, break an arm, when we lose our job, when we lose a girlfriend, when we lose a husband, a wife, a child? She underwent probably what could be considered one of the most painful trials anyone could undergo on this earth, aside from slavery or something like that. And she overcame it. She overcame it, and now it is up to us to try and follow this example and say, can I also do the same? Can I forget these problems and embrace the divine gift of life and move forward? And I'd like to bring this statement to you from a manual that kind of encompasses everything I've said here. And Emmanuel says in the book, The Spirit of Truth, the terrestrial existence may be compared to a laborious journey. The body is the vessel, thought is the impulse, language is the helm. This, I think, summarizes everything. And I'm finished with the message I wanted to bring, but I want to add a beautiful message that I'm going to read to you. And if feel free to close your eyes and to just listen to the words of this message from a spirit that was a message that was psychographed by Divaldo Pereira Franco, by a spirit called Marco Prisco. And it's a wonderful message that I think is going to really drive the point home and make us reflect upon the divine gift of life. So when I say these words, I ask that you really focus and listen to them and absorb them and drink the words and realize their deep meaning. I'm going to turn on a little bit of music. You have barely woken up in the morning and many preoccupations begin to occupy your mind. There are so many arrangements to be made that oftentimes you become numb and do not even notice the day come to an end. The most mundane and grave are targets of your attention, occupying your time. Nighttime arrives, and when you become aware of this, you are exhausted, extremely exhausted. While eating dinner, you try to digest the problems that are still pending. Well, but now it will have to wait until tomorrow. A quick shower and then bed. This is all that you will be able to do. Some hours of sleep, and once more the day invites you to action, and there you go once again. The nights succeed one another, the days go by, the months become years, and you go through life without realizing the many blessings that it offers you, just like with all creatures that share the planet with you. But despite the indifference, a new day presents itself in order to be lived, and this day may be an opportunity for you to set your sights more attentively to the world around you, seeking to interact in a conscious manner with these intelligent forces. Discover the value of the concessions which the Lord grants to you through the hands of life, and spread joy and gratitude everywhere. Observe nature, blessing without ceasing through its own moving forces. Flavorful fruits grow from trees whose roots are embedded in the mud. Light breezes blow, singing gentle melodies in straight valleys where cadavers decompose. The nightly dew falls upon the withered and impoverished soil encrusted by the sun. Delicate butterflies fly on the rivers of light air with its festival of floating colors over a country dotted with tiny flowers. Various species of flora that the happy pollen fertilizes everywhere blossom. Constellations glitter on the cover of night, sprinkling the earth with precious diamonds. In each dawn, the golden sun is reborn, purifying the lake, vitalizing the men, tending to the flower, without questioning how they will use the application of these beneficent rays. Do not restrain yourself, and remember the treasures with which the good enriches the heart through the valuable patrimonies of health and faith, of joy and patience, and continue ahead. Indifference is infirmity, fear is poison that slowly kills. Ignite the light of courage in the soul so that you do not become mired in the very natural difficulties that follow your commitments concerning life. Confidence in our actions is strength for others' courage. Optimism in accomplishments is also an identifying alliance with the higher spheres. You are not in the world in vain. Take advantage of the opportunity, value the blessings of life, disseminate gratitude and joy wherever you go, with whomever is by your side, with the provisions you possess, justifying your passage through earth in edifying acts. You are not an extra on the stage of terrestrial life, you are a protagonist. You are the living lesson, and you are the important piece in this immense gear called society. Reflect on this and move in harmony with these powerful and intelligent forces that act in all parts, and so be it. I want to thank everyone very much for your attention, and may life continue to gift us with so many blessings, with so many opportunities for growth, with so many realizations and accomplishments and fulfillments. May the light of the Father brighten our days, shine down upon our paths so that we can find the way, the truth, and the life by embracing Jesus' message, by feeling Him approach near to us, and understanding that He's welcoming us to join Him in the good, to accept the gift of life, to unwrap this wonderful gift, to find the content, take it, embrace it, love it, live the content of that gift. And perhaps someday we can give that gift as a collaborator in the divine creation of the universe to someone beneath us, to an inferior brother who needs so much help and so much assistance and so much love. So embrace, therefore, hug tightly those who you love. Thank the Father for the blessings of life. Thank the beautiful guardian spirits who walk by your side, guiding you at every day, influencing you for the good, inspiring you to do good deeds, to good actions, so that this life does not go to waste, so that this life truly becomes a lighting and a beacon that brightens the ocean, that shines so brightly like the great and powerful sun, that paints a new image in the canvas of the firmament every morning when we wake up on a new day and we are welcomed to join creation in this beautiful opportunity of life, to see the rose blossom, to see the bird fly, to see birds fluttering their wings in the sky, to hear the birds sing, to hear their wonderful melodies, the harmonies of the sky, the clouds that have various formations, giving us a wonderful picture and the art of nature to appreciate every day. Life is truly a blessed gift. It is up to us to accept it. It is up to us to take it within our hands, guard it deep within us, and let it become that bright light so that we may shine as the billions and billions and trillions of stars in this immense and endless and infinite universe shine in our night skies. Thank you very much.